Welcome to the Body Bag Podcast. I'm your host, Broke Rider Dave. With me, co-host Chris Thomas.
What's going on, everybody?
How are you doing today, Chris?
G Good. We're in the home stretch of these bad movies.
Yeah,
And we still have one more in the works right now. But the funny thing about recording these in no particular order, like we have our random wheel thing that tells us, okay, we're gonna
yeah.
be doing next one. We haven't been going in like any kind of descending or ascending order, but I will say that I think that we've gotten the worst movies out of the way.
I don't know, there's still two on there, and neither one of us has seen those two, so
All right, fair point.
yep.
But
Have watching all these bad movies lowered our bar. Because while this movie on paper seems like people say it's terrible, I
and
found it okay.
Well, spoiler alert for our ending thoughts, but yes, I will say this. First off, if you're wondering what it is, but you don't want to get bogged down in the details, one sentence sum up, a killer stalks a group of student filmmakers.
Yes.
There you go. Short, sweet, to the point. That's the kind of movie you're going to be getting.
Goes with the urban legends because we are reviewing Urban Legend Final Cut.
Urban Legend Final Cut.
Yes,
I have not seen the first one.
I watched the first. I watched them back to back.
All right, so you can kind of you can tell me. You tell me. First one, was it any good?
First one was okay, a little bit better.
Was it the same kind of situation? Was it like student filmmakers going out and doing something?
It wasn't student filmmakers, but it was a group of friends at college.
Okay, so they kept that bit.
Yeah,
And
the only recurring character, besides at the very end,
oh yeah,
is
you'll have to explain that to me.
yeah, the only actual recurring character is the security guard.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I have words about her in a little bit.
Yeah. And
So,
she basically tells you what happened in the first movie when she was talking to our main character.
all right. Well,
She gave that recap to her.
so as we usually do, we'll go over what the movie is beat by beat. And as like we're starting to do now, you're going to hear us throw names around, so you only need to know a handful. You got Amy, who is the main actress, the main lead. She's making a student film,
Yeah,
and
and she's also played by Jennifer Goodwin, I think.
before she was in House and before she was in
She was
Once
a
Upon a Time,
time, yes.
Morrison.
Talk about pretty good cast
This
for a
has
movie.
everybody in it.
Yeah,
Well, not everybody, but it has a whole lot of familiar faces. Jennifer Morrison, I believe, is her name,
Jennifer Morrison, there you go.
which I was pleasantly surprised because I like Jennifer Morrison. Anthony Anderson was in this, which I thought was a random. I like Anthony Anderson.
Yeah, you got Jennifer Morrison playing Amy Mayfield, our main girl.
Hmm.
And then you got Matthew Davis playing Travis and Trevor Stark.
Travis, who
Matthew,
is, I was going to
yeah,
say, I'm just giving a little tidbit for
yeah,
just Travis is Amy's friend, who we later find out kills himself because he got a bad grade, which wasn't
yeah.
really a bad grade on a film project.
And Trevor is his twin brother.
Yes, same actor.
Matthew Davis, basically been in all the Vampire Diary stuffs. Good actor. And then you got Professor Solomon, basically the professor of
He's
the
the
film class.
yeah,
Yeah,
he's the head of he's the professor of film class, and who I thought was David Duchovny when I first was
yeah.
watching it.
Played by Hart Bochner. Have no idea who that is though.
You got Stan and Dirk, who are the special effects department,
Yeah, Stan's played by Anthony Anderson. So
and I don't know who plays Dirk.
Michael Bacall, don't know who that is.
And then, most importantly, we have, give me a second, Eva Mendes.
Yeah, playing Vanessa Valdon, who's Amy's friend and like set
I'm,
person.
I'm not sweating, you're sweating.
And then you got Toby Belcher, who's kind of another film student who plays a small part in this movie.
And then there are just some other side, like, of no real consequence characters.
Reese is the security guard in the movie.
I'm trying to hold back. I don't know how she was. Okay, we'll get to it. All right, so we're gonna have criticisms because objectively, I did see problems with this movie.
Yeah, there are problems.
And I will get to it. When they come up. But should we start from the beginning? I got it.
Yeah,
Got the notes and everything to keep us on
from
track.
the very beginning.
I will say kudos to this movie for the beginning because we start off in an airplane of all places that's in the middle of a storm, and there's all these party goers on this plane ride. And I'm like, what kind of frat airline is this? Everybody's
Yeah.
like running around. It's like college students. It's like Blue Mountain State, but in the air.
Yeah, and the acting is like
Awful.
bad. Yeah.
And I was like, all right, this is all right. So I guess this is,
This
and
is what we're doing.
all right, so this is what we're doing. And then all of a sudden, a killer, like, no, these two people go into a bathroom to join, to get the Mile High Club thing going on. And then turbulence happens. They go back outside and see everybody murdered, and there's a murder on the plane. I'm like, all right, is this
Yeah, they're in the bathroom for like a minute too. It's like, oh, okay.
for like a minute? Which I couldn't think of a less horny situation in the middle of a turbulent flight.
I mean, if the plane's going down, might as well end on top.
I guess. But so I'm like, all right, this is dumb. What? So one guy killed like a plane full of people. It's just. I'm just I'm sitting here watching it and I'm like, oh God, this is going to be an exhausting kind of movie. Because within like 5 minutes, I'm like, what the fuck is happening right now? 'Cause, like,
Yeah.
there's a turbulent plane. There's a killer. Like I don't know who any of these people are.
No context, any of this at all. You're just watching like, why? Why is any of this happening?
And then all of a sudden you hear cut.
Yeah.
We're on a movie set. And I was like, well played, movie. Well played.
You might not be so bad after
You,
all.
you might not be so bad after all. Okay, you lulled me into a false sense of security, but that doesn't mean you get to be shitty just because you showed a shittier clips in the beginning.
But I mean, if you're going to make a bad movie, that's a pretty smart plan to show a shittier movie at the start.
So that we see that we get it. This is how we're introduced to Amy. She's pretty much at this one. Is she directing that scene or is she?
She's like a sound producer. It seems like she's holding the boom mic.
Yeah, she has a film project and a film thesis, but it looks like she's doing a lot of the audio work. And
Well, she still hasn't. At this point, she hasn't started her thesis yet. 'Cause she doesn't know what she wants to do.
no, that's what we eventually find out. She's working on
Yeah.
a set right now, but we find out that she is a film student and she has her little group of friends and stuff like that, and they're all trying to compete for this thing called the Hitchcock Award. And she's trying to figure out what her thesis is going to be. And I will say, so at this point, we're like 15 minutes in. We see shots of the campus. We've seen the fake out thing at the very beginning. And already I can say that this movie so far from the ones that we've watched was the best shot.
Yeah, it's not shot any like they don't do anything special.
No, there were actually a couple of creative shots, in all honesty, that I will give kudos to, and I'll say it when they come up.
Yeah.
It would be pretty bad if you had a movie that's all about movie making and it was shot horribly.
Yeah,
But this was shot actually very well
yeah.
for a college slasher movie. So that's how we're introduced to our main character and our little clique of people.
The clique of friends. Yeah,
Yeah, the clique of friends who are all kind of like just working on film project together.
yeah.
Okay, so
From there, they cut to the bar.
yes, we get a random shot of we take a break from Amy for a second. She's figuring out her thesis.
Yeah, and then it cuts to
Woman at a bar, getting chatted up.
Her friend Travis with another girl, and they're just talking about the movie that Travis made,
Yes,
which wasn't the movie that Amy was working on.
he's just a friend of Amy's who was also
Yeah.
in the same class.
And they looks like they're about to get another drink. They order it, and you see some guy drug the drinks, but Travis doesn't drink his. He leaves. His friend drinks hers, and she's like, after this, I'm gonna go to the airport, fly home, whatever.
So
They split ways.
she gets roofied, basically.
Yeah, and she tries to go to the coat room to get her coat.
Gets
Her
abducted.
her vision starts blurring, and she gets abducted.
Wakes up in a bathtub full of ice.
They took her kidney.
They took her kidney, which now I don't know how.
Which is an urban legend,
Yes,
quote unquote.
there are little nods to like little stories and urban legends that I actually recognize a lot of them,
Yeah, hint the title, urban legend.
which I'll have to ask you about that in a minute. But,
Yeah.
so she wakes up, bathtub full of ice, sees her kidney. Dude who abducted her is off in the kitchen somewhere
Yeah.
with the door open. She has a phone. She grabs the cell phone, calls police, says, "Oh my God, I just woke up in a bathtub full of ice. Somebody stole my kidney." And of
Yeah.
course, the useless officers are like,
Stop with the prank calls. Ha ha ha.
"Ha ha ha! Stop with the prank calls." Blah blah. I hate it when movies do that.
Such an easy out. Why even put them calling the cops on the scene in the first place.
You could have just easily just had it so her phone wasn't around.
Yeah,
Like she woke up in a bathtub full of ice and nothing else is around.
yeah. Or the phone's dead.
Because
Or it dies as she starts dialing.
that's also like from Black Christmas. Like when we reviewed Black Christmas, I hated that too.
Yeah.
When he was like, "Oh yeah, oh your ladies are getting harassed by these guys threatening texts. Ah, boys will be boys." I was like,
Yeah.
God, I just it's just like you said. That's a perfect
It's
way
a
to put it.
trope in movies that I can't stand. Like,
It's
I understand there's some cops that are fucking terrible, but most cops will actually show up if you call them and say, "Hey, someone stole my kidney." They will drive to you.
you
Yeah.
still have to follow up on that, even if
Yeah.
even if you don't believe them. But it's like you said, it's an easy out.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that you would be better off or just as well if you didn't even have the cops in the scene at all.
Yeah.
But cop doesn't believe her. Killer turns around, realizes, oh crap, she's around, chases her. She tries to jump out the window. He cuts her like Achilles. No, he grabs her in the spot where he had taken her kidney out.
Yeah, by the stitches and starts pulling.
Which I gotta tell you right now.
That'd be painful.
No, unless this is a random thing that has nothing to do with this movie, her getting her kidney removed had nothing to do with what we find out later about how everything is.
Yeah, her death had nothing to do with the story.
Had nothing to do, and her kidney getting removed had absolutely nothing. This isn't about a person going around collecting kidneys.
No, she just had to die in an urban legend type of way.
Which is kind of dumb.
Yeah.
So, all right, whatever. Well,
I still actually enjoy, even though the scene has nothing to do with the rest of the movie, I still enjoyed it.
I will say this: it had a solid decapitation scene.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with decapitation.
Gets her head cut off by a broken mirror, by a broken window, and yeah, she's dead. I was like, all right, I appreciate that. It's dumb as fuck, but I mean,
does not have anything to do with the rest of the movie. No one mentions this girl at all.
It has nothing to do with anything. So, but
yeah,
whatever. If you're gonna shoot nothing to do with nothing, at least you got a decent kill out of it.
Yeah, make it fun, and they did. So
take note, other movies, which is funny because this one is one of the lower rated ones, and it managed to do. Black Christmas is higher than this, which I think is outrageous.
Right? You're like, what? Black Christmas was boring as fuck.
Black Christmas was because my whole thing with this is gonna be me picking on Black Christmas for the whole.
We're gonna keep going back to Black Christmas.
Throw a whole lot of this movie review. All right, but all right, back to the actual plot here. So, all right, so blah blah blah. Okay, yeah, decapitation.
Yeah. Boom, head's gone.
For the next 10 minutes, it's Amy kind of we get introduced to other side characters. We get introduced to her, the props guys, and we get introduced to Eva Mendes and all that. Yeah. And she's just trying to figure out what her thesis film project is going to be, and she finally figures out one. And is that her film is just different urban legends, I guess.
Yeah, well, she figures out because she's walking to the library, and the security guard's like, "Hey, what are you doing? Let me give you a ride." And she gives her a ride, and she kind of fills in everything that happened in the previous movie. A girl was killing everybody with different urban legends to get back at another girl who killed her boyfriend in a drunk driving accident.
And what was this? The security guard's name? The security
Reese?
Campus security.
Yeah, campus security.
If you want to know what kind of person Reese is like, and there's no other way for me to describe her other than she is, like, when I say sassy black woman, like the sassy, black woman, that's who she was, who she is.
Yeah.
That's her character. I mean, that's just the words that come to mind when I see her character, or when I see her character crop up. Yeah. And I gotta say, man, she was getting on my nerves.
I didn't mind Reese.
She was getting on my nerves. I was like, man, I mean, not her personality, the fact that she wasn't doing her job at all.
Yeah, well, I mean, she got fired from her last job for doing her job.
But so what? It's her job to be reviewing the footage, and she's
watching a movie. Yeah.
Somebody comes up to you, just like in Black Christmas. Somebody comes up to you and says,
"It's easy out." Yeah.
I think that somebody just got murdered. Can we review? It's as simple as, can I review the security tape? She said, I'm too busy. I don't have enough time to be sitting around all day. I was like, well, yes, you do. We just saw a scene of you just screwing around, like not doing anything. That's all you have is time to review that. That's your job. And And but she's not going to review the footage, but she lets Amy review the footage.
Here, you want to look at here, you do it.
But that doesn't come until later.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm skipping ahead.
Yeah, so basically Amy's doing her thesis film, making her thesis film basically on the plot of the first film.
So urban legends.
Yeah.
So she gets her group of friends together and they start to shoot later on that night.
And then she meets up with Travis and he is super depressed.
She needs a director of photography because her original one dropped out because I think he believed that she was stealing his idea from him about a movie.
It wasn't even his idea. She was going into like the horror suspense genre. She was stealing his genre because only one person could make a horror movie.
Which is dumb because they're up for a Hitchcock Award, so you would think that it would probably be a lot of horror.
Whatever.
He drops out.
So you think Travis is depressed about his friend being murdered? No, they don't even know about that.
You talking about the girl?
Yeah, the girl that was murdered in the first scene. No.
Again, she isn't mentioned anymore. She has nothing to do with the story anymore, so forget about her.
Yeah. No, he's sad, depressed, and drunk because he got a C on his movie.
Not even a failing grade. I mean,
he got a C.
He got a C. Like for me, I wish I would have taken film class in college. But if I got a C on my thing, I'd be like, okay. Well, I mean, I had a C is average.
Not awful.
It's not awful. It means
I know I need to improve, but
it shows I'm at least competent enough to shoot something and somewhat it looked good. But I would need tweaking. So he's just more devastated that he won't be able to win the Hitchcock Award,
which evidently is a huge thing. You can't be in Hollywood without it.
Well, it's also because it comes with a sum
of money to make your movie. Yeah.
Yeah. So this Hitchcock Award would pretty much make whoever wins it.
Yeah.
They'll be like the next big talent to be welcomed into Hollywood. So they start shooting, a urban legend that I have heard before about the lady who has a pet dog. The dog would lick her fingers at the foot of her bed and stuff like that. And then one day, the dog's licking her fingers and stuff like that. And then she goes to the bathroom, sees that the dog is dead, and written on the mirror is "Humans can lick too."
Oh, that's so gross.
Not a bad urban legend to start off with.
Yeah.
Interesting one. Oh, and at this point, you need to know that the main actress who they have starring in this
is
awful.
So bad.
She was also in the plane one, right?
Yeah.
In the intro, the fake out beginning. She is not the actress playing the actress, but the character is an awful actress.
Yeah. Basically, she's the only actress that these college students could afford to be in their film.
Yeah, and you kind of get the gist that she's kind of coasting by only on her being the pretty face.
On her looks, yeah.
Because everybody knows that she's not good.
Yeah.
So they're filming.
It's a running joke.
Yeah, it's a running joke. So they're filming, and then I think it's the next night because after filming, they wrap up, and she's in a parking lot about to be going home. Everybody else has left. And she forgot something inside, so she goes back inside. Maybe her purse or her cell phone or something. She goes back in.
Something like that. She goes back in and lights start coming on. Basically, she's being followed in there.
Why people, in situations like that, just don't find the light switch to turn on to make sure the whole room is lit? You know? But she basically is getting stalked by somebody and then gets killed, basically, slashed up.
Yeah.
And filmed while it was being done. Somebody was holding a video camera.
Yeah, so that happens. And then it's the next day when they're watching everything they filmed the night before.
Yeah, watching all the test footage.
And then the killer slips in his footage of him actually killing her.
Spliced in the footage of her.
Yeah.
And at this point, I love the fact that only Amy kind of catches on that this is actually happening because... What's her name? Sandra?
Yeah.
Sandra is not that good of an actress, so she oh God, this feels like she's actually dying. She's not that good of an actress.
Yeah, but the props guy and Stan, he's like, oh well, I don't think it's real. There should be more blood.
I don't think the goofballs were necessary in this movie, but I thought they grew on me. They grew on me. I thought that they were going to be annoying, but for some reason their little antics kind of grew on me. They were the sophomores of the campus, so they were like the younger ones. I guess Amy Amy is like
Senior,
a
yeah.
senior, so they're very much like the fresh-faced, like, fresh-faced college kids. So
Yeah.
I can buy them being kind of like goof-offs, and it's a movie film class. You're going to attract those kind of goof-offs anyway.
Yeah.
But what I did like is that when it came down to doing the props, they got down and did their props well.
They seemed like they were good prop people.
Like legit,
effects, yeah.
I could see them like in the future, like going on to work in the props department because they like had a real passion for it.
Yeah, they seemed like they loved what they were doing.
Yes. And you know how you know that all of these people are film buffs is that they keep throwing around like film jargon, like mise en scene and just name dropping names like George Lucas, Steven Spielberg, Alfred Hitchcock, just so we know that they're film students. Even though they think that the Sandra's death scene was fake, they still can't find her. They look around, they can't find her, and after looking around, they run into somebody who informs them that Travis committed suicide. And the news is kind of spreading around the campus, which we don't know how he killed himself. We just know that he did in the tower somewhere. But you hear people like already gossiping, like saying, "Oh man, I bet he did it this way. Oh man, I heard that he did it this way." Like just like man,
he completely blew off his fate.
Yeah, that people saying stuff like that, and it's like, man, geez, like the dude, everybody just found out this information, and all of a sudden it's turned into that. So so find out Travis died. Then the very next night we get introduced to his brother,
Trevor, because she's walking from somewhere and she sees him. And she just goes up. She's like, "Travis." He's like, "No, I'm his twin brother, Trevor."
She was at the bell tower where his body was found, because when she leaves, you see like the crime scene tape.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's why she ran into. That's why Trevor happened to be there, because he was visiting the site of where he found out his brother died.
Yeah, because Trevor said his brother would not unalive himself.
Yeah, and Amy, I think we kind of get the gist that she probably had a thing for Travis.
Yeah.
They were friends, but you could tell like they probably like kind of had a thing with each other unsaid.
Yeah. So now they start investigating what happened with Sandra and Trevor's death.
But at the same time, she still has to get a lot of her shots for the film that she's doing.
Yeah.
So the next day after she runs into Trevor, she's getting audio recording for screams. She's getting a lot of people to get together. She's getting like just audio loops of screams that she's gonna probably splice into the movie that she's making at some point.
Well, it's for another urban legend scene where on a college campus somewhere to celebrate in the finals, everyone on campus screams at midnight. And one time when everyone was screaming at midnight, a girl was murdered and no one heard her scream because, well, everyone was screaming at the time.
I actually never heard of that urban legend.
Either have I. Maybe that was like a 90s urban legend.
Because I listen to a lot of creepypastas.
Yeah.
And like the lick their hand thing I heard of. And but I haven't heard of that one. So while she's getting recordings of screams outside, Simon, her new director of photography, the one that had to replace the guy who walked off.
Toby.
Yes, Toby. He gets offed. He gets killed. Some guy assaults him outside, and apparently out of an empty street. Enough time to kill the guy and drag his body away. And she picks it up through her boom mic.
Yeah.
She picks up the sound of that. It goes to my favorite person with this information.
What's great scene? She's like, "So you heard someone screaming while you were recording screaming?"
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but my headphones were on.
All right. So this is why I started not liking her. Because she brings it to, I keep forgetting, Reese, right?
Reese, yeah.
Reese, the security. Yeah. Which, bring it to another officer. Bring it to somebody who will believe you. Like, you don't have to only go to her.
Yeah.
So, at this point, we see Reese, like, saying, "Oh, no, I won't review the footage. I don't have time. But here, you can look at the footage."
Yeah, you go ahead and do it. And if you see anything out of the ordinary, let me know.
I'm telling you something out of the ordinary right now. You're not believing me. What are you talking about? So Amy, I don't know why Amy couldn't have just watched it right there, because does she like take the footage to like some other secluded room?
Yeah, she takes, I guess, to her dorm room, whatever.
No, she took it to like a sound stage or a recording studio. Because she had the lights where it illuminates like behind the glass and everything like that. So I think she was doing it in like the audio recording room.
Okay, which is a weird place to review
footage. Yeah, to watch security footage. Kind of weird, but whatever. And she sees it clear as day. She sees Toby getting killed right there on security camera.
Simon, not Toby. Toby's still alive.
Oh, sorry, Simon. Simon replaced Graham. Graham, I think, was the guy who walked away, said, "You're stealing my genre."
I thought that was Toby that did that walked away.
No, Toby was the guy at the very end later.
Are you sure?
I'm fairly certain. The one who said, "You're stealing my genre."
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was Toby.
I thought that was Graham. Because Graham was at the funeral for Travis, and then he, like, approaches Amy and is like, "Oh, I know you pretend to be this little girl next door type person, but I know you. You're from Hollywood and stuff like that. You were in Hollywood since you were 13 and blah, blah, or up till you were 13. So your dad's a famous, yeah, Amy's dad's like a famous documentary
Yeah.
person. So, which it has to do with something, but it really doesn't. like,
Yeah.
like he's just upset at her because she's just competition, basically.
Yeah, you're right. It was Graham.
Yeah. So, yeah, Graham was the director of photography. Simon replaced him. Simon's dead now.
Yeah.
And Amy knows it.
Yep.
Reviews, looks at the footage, and
Simon's dead. Yeah.
then you kind of get that feeling that she's not alone.
She is being watched.
He is being watched, and it's the dude wearing a moon mask. It's our killer, but for some reason he was just. This whole movie is a whodunit.
Yeah.
So you're not going to see the killer's face or anything, at least not until the end. So the face is going to be obscure. He needed a mask, and this one just happened to be laying around, I guess.
Yeah.
It was like a moon mask, and the chase ensues.
For chase scenes, it was okay.
She ends up in some kind of maintenance tunnel, which I don't know. I thought she was in the sewer, but then she
goes down into like a sewer, and then
he chases her, and she's down in the sewer, and then she ends up somehow in a maintenance tunnel.
It's really weird because she runs outside into like this field, goes into a sewer, and then turns into like the locations of what she ran just seems like
And a very well lit maintenance tunnel too.
yeah.
Like it looks like this looks like a factory tunnel somewhere. Like
It really does. It looked like they shot several scenes of her running, trying to figure out which one would work best for the movie, and then just said, screw it, use them all.
And you see, normally that would frustrate me, but at the same time, we got introduced to a shitty intro, so I don't know if it's intentional.
Yeah. So,
I don't know if some of these scenes that are that look corny are like, well, they already kind of established, that funny little shitty movie in the beginning. So I don't know. I just don't know. She manages to give him the slip.
Yeah,
but
gets away and
but drops the security footage.
Yeah.
So she has nothing to give to the security guard anyway, which she at this point she's been chased by. You have Travis's brother who says, "I don't think my brother would kill himself." You already have one missing friend, Sandra. You have the other girl, the one who got her kidney removed for no reason, and then now you have another one. Stop going to the security guard. Go to the police.
But Travis, they kind of
they gave a reason.
Really shitty. He's like, I don't want to go to the cops.
Reason, a stupid reason. Travis said specifically, "Don't go to the cops." Why? Or Trevor said, "Don't go to the cops." Why? Why not? Well, me and my brother had before we went on the straight and narrow, kind of had some run-in with the cops, and so we don't want. Okay, so what? He's dead now. I'm sure that they'll take you seriously.
Yeah.
That was like I was like, okay, so you had previous run-ins with the cops. So what? Not only is your brother dead, but so are like 2 or 3 other people. So I think they would take you seriously.
Yeah. And once again, an easy out to get the cops out of the movie where the only sense of law enforcement is an incompetent security guard.
And I'm sorry, Trevor, I don't know you. Like, I just met you and you're telling me not to go to the cops? Like, sorry, I get chased by some dude trying to kill me. I'm going to the cops. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, not sorry.
And then Trevor's like, well, obviously he's after you, so you should finish your movie tomorrow night so we can lure him out into a trap.
I'll keep an eye on you. I'll watch over, which I'm kind of bummed out because I wanted to see what this final product of this movie was going to be. They got access to a bandit, like, amusement park ride mine.
Yeah.
Which I don't even know how you go about doing that and not have like a foreman or somebody on site to make sure that you don't like mess up the equipment. It's like it's like the owners of the amusement park just gave them the keys and said, "Yeah, you want to take a movie? Yeah, knock yourselves out." It's like,
who cares about insurance liability?
Like, but they don't leave behind like 2 or 3 workers to like make sure that the equipment is running safely or that the people don't damage the property.
Right.
I want to go to that school.
You would think there would be people from that amusement park there, but...
So they're setting up in this like abandoned amusement. It's not an abandoned, but it's abandoned in that nobody's around right now. It's like after
Yeah.
hours.
This movie's taking place in the winter too, by the way.
So think of it's kind of like It's a Small World After All ride at Disney. It's kind of like that, but they're trying to decorate it up to make it look horrifying. I think isn't that what it was? Because it was like a tame mind ride, but then they decorated it
They're
up to
putting
look
in like
dead bodies and
dead bodies, making a tunnel of horror.
intestines, all that fun stuff. But I kind of want to see what they're because so far we have had a random shot of Sandra getting killed by somebody. Their footage.
Yeah.
Then we've had the urban legend of the hand lick thing.
Yeah.
The screaming, the screaming midnight footage, and now an abandoned after hours mine. I kind of wanted to see what this movie was going to end up being like.
What the urban legend is, it's two people are supposed to go on the ride. It's supposed to be like a normal
So, but I mean,
tunnel, and it turns out to be a
but what is her
tunnel of horrors.
What is her thesis?
It's this movie.
Yeah, I know, but like, what, like, is it just a collection of just urban legends and that's it?
Yeah, I think it's like a horror anthology of urban legends.
Okay, because I was like, I get that it's urban legends, but like, if for a Hitchcock Award, well, I don't know anything about the Hitchcock Award, so I didn't know if it had to be like one flowing narrative. So I was like, what are all of these different urban legends gonna?
I mean, maybe she's just shooting the death scenes, and there is a overarching narrative.
Speaking of death, Stan and Dirk, they're setting up their props.
They are next,
setting up their props in the mine, and then this movie turns into My Bloody Valentine for about 5-10 minutes because it's just them two people getting killed in a mine shaft.
Yeah, because Amy thinks the killer is about to come, so she sends everybody away except for Dirk and Stan.
I thought she only sent away Eva Mendes, which I don't know what she does in terms of this production team.
She's also like a sound audio engineer.
Okay, because we have the two props guys.
Yeah.
She's usually either doing audio or behind the camera, and we have the DP.
So she's like the head of the sound engineering and that stuff. But she sends her Eva Mendes and the rest of the crew away. And it just leaves her,
Dirk and Stan.
Yep. And she's like, hey, can I go through the tunnel? They're like, sure, why not?
That was a huge tunnel too, because they turned the tunnel ride on so she could she's doing a test run because I guess they're probably a lot of the scenes are probably going to be shot from the ride going through it.
Yeah, it's basically two people going through a tunnel of horror, so.
Which their props for student films weren't bad, actually.
No, must have a lot of money for props because they had some good props.
Or it must be a very prestigious school where they would have access to like a props department or a budget.
Right.
So they get killed. Stan and Dirk Stan gets electrocuted. And Dirk gets basically chopped up with a pickaxe. And then the chase number 2 happens. This is like rinse repeat. She gets chased by the killer. The killer runs away. She doesn't believe. Nobody believes her when she says that she was attacked. Rinse, wash, repeat.
And then Trevor shows up.
And then
he was like, I was following. Who was it? Graham or Toby?
I think that he was following Graham.
Yeah, he's like, I was following Graham. That's why I wasn't here.
Because he's been the most in her face.
The one they think might be the killer,
He just views her as competition, and the one who thinks that she's trying to, like, steal his genre, whatever the fuck that means.
Okay. But he's like, oh, I was following Graham. She's like, oh, so Graham's not the killer? He's like, oh, I don't know. I lost him.
I don't know. I lost him.
What?
Good job, dude.
What?
Good job. Great work.
You are useless, my dude. You have done nothing to help this poor girl out.
Thank you, Captain Kirk.
Oh, God. All right,
so killer gets away, and it's funny because Amy goes back home. Trevor shows up. She's like, why the fuck were you just ditched us? And he said, I was trying to follow Graham, blah, blah, blah. So they're back to square one. He says, all right, you get some sleep, and we'll start from square one where it all started. We'll go back to the tower where my brother supposedly killed himself, and we'll start from there. So she goes to sleep. Now, she goes to sleep, and he's just kind of like behind her, kind of like just a comforting, like, cuddle kind of thing.
Nice little cuddle session.
Nice little cuddle thing. More is just kind of like a warm body. She just saw people die kind of thing. And at this point, I was like, you know what? Kudos to this movie. A lesser movie would have had, like, a gratuitous sex scene.
Cue the gratuitous sex.
And then the gratuitous sex scene literally happened after had that thought. I was like, a lesser movie would have been like, you know what, these are our two leads, our two attractive leads. They're in a bedroom, they need to start having sex. And I was like, you know what, good for you, movie. And then boom.
And then you realize they didn't have sex. It was a dream.
Because in the dream, he stabs her
in the back
while she's like straddling him. And I was like, well, that didn't add anything to anything. But
it added nothing to the movie. It's just there.
It's just there to make you think that Trevor might be the bad guy, to kind of just put it in your mind that, oh, maybe he's not.
Put more heat on Trevor, yeah.
Because at this point, nobody knows. It's like the more people die, the less suspects that you have to be like, all right, it's got to be one of these people that we've seen. So,
and then after this, I think it's when they finally watch Travis's movie.
No, she goes outside. She sees that a light over in the lighthouse where Travis killed himself.
Yeah.
So she goes over to the lighthouse. It's not a lighthouse. It's like a bell tower.
Yeah.
She goes over there, and we see Eva Mendes' character. Eva Mendes is in the bell tower, like sitting there randomly,
Yeah.
what fuck are you doing here?
Yeah.
And she apparently got a letter from Amy that says how much, because Eva Mendes
is a lesbian.
Is a lesbian, and the letter says that Amy has the hots for her, and Eva's like, kind of reciprocating it a little bit.
Yeah.
And Amy's like, I didn't send you a letter. Dun dun dum.
Eva Mendes gets killed.
Yeah, the dude is there. The bad guy killer guy is there. He lured them both there. Chased them up to the bell tower. Amy gets trapped in a broom closet for a hot minute. Eva Mendes gets hung, and she rinse, lather, repeat. She gets away, and killer's nowhere to be found. Oh man, like it's even better a third time.
Right? Okay.
She runs into Travis again. Useless, my man. Where are you? Where are you?
Yes. Once again, she went, "Where were you?" I woke up and you weren't there. I don't remember what his excuse was this time.
I'm just like, no. His excuse was, "Come with me. I found something. You should see this."
Okay.
Which, in retrospect, he didn't find anything, because they go to the, I don't know, library or whatever submissions thing, wherever they're holding the submissions for the Hitchcock Award. And he finds Travis's submission, I guess the one that got a C.
Yeah.
And they watch it and both conclude that the movie's awful.
Yeah.
And they can't believe
Travis wouldn't make this piece of shit.
So it's funny because the way he ran up to her, he made it sound like he found a hot piece of evidence. But his hot piece of evidence was, hey, look, I found my brother's movie.
It's complete shit. So
yes, it's complete shit.
So I know my brother didn't make this. At least I don't think he did. Yeah.
Now we find that the video was actually tampered with.
Because Amy has some great eyes and could just tell that there's splices in the film.
There was a splice in the film between the ending scene and the intro or the ending credits.
Yeah.
They find out or conclude that somebody spliced Travis's credits onto the end of this terrible movie.
Yeah.
To make it look like he made a awful movie, which, sure, I mean, they ended up finding that piece of evidence, but the way that Trevor came up and was like, hey, I found something, he didn't know what he found. He just said, hey, look, my brother's shitty movie.
Yeah. And then they looked at the cast and was like, look, they're killing everyone that worked on his movie.
Yeah, so basically everybody who worked on Travis's movie has been getting killed.
Yeah, and the only two left alive are Graham and Toby at this point.
Which I guess everybody who was working on her movie was working on Travis's movie, and only them, I guess.
Sure, close knit group of friends. They probably work
and
together
all of them and a random woman at a bar.
Yeah, and I guess Travis told Amy to fuck off when it came time to his movie and didn't let her work on it.
Yeah, it's
okay.
You know, the reasons that they give why people do things in this movie make me shake my head, because the setup I like, the details are, to me, are just kind of lame, if that makes sense. Like, so there's one person left that worked on it. That's Toby.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know. They confront Toby. They tell Trevor pretends to be Travis, like come back from the grave, and they track down this Toby guy, get him alone, and also call in Professor Solomon for some reason. I have no idea why they would call Professor Solomon in.
to prove that Toby stole Travis's film to win the Hitchcock.
Yeah, but why would he be there again? Like,
Professor Solomon's the head of the department, I guess. They just want to bring him there.
They're holding
so Toby gets disciplined.
Yeah, but they're holding Toby at gunpoint.
Yeah,
saying, "Admit it, admit it, admit it."
They would have been better off calling the cops in on this.
Yes, call the cops.
A lot of this movie wouldn't have happened if they would just call the cops, but
which is funny because Trevor will call in Trevor will hold a man at gunpoint. He will pretend to be his dead brother. He'll trespass onto like crime scenes and stuff like that, but he doesn't want to deal with the police.
Yeah. Sir, you are acting like the police, but worse.
Sir, you are doing everything that you're doing is the reason why you think the police aren't going to help you. Because like you can it's like, oh, why did you hold that gun at gunpoint? Why didn't you come to us? Because you would have thought I was just a criminal. Well, you are holding this man at gunpoint. So Toby, basically, they're trying to get Toby to admit that he sabotaged Travis's movie.
Switched films, yeah.
Switched films so that he could win the Hitchcock Award. Toby's like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Like,
he's like, Travis, I thought you were dead. Like, that's cool, you're alive, but I don't know what you're doing.
And Toby's looking at Professor Solomon, who's just kind of standing there, and he's like, yo, Professor, help me. And Professor Solomon, like, at this point, you know it's Professor Solomon.
Yeah.
I mean, well, no, as soon as you see Professor Solomon just randomly there,
you're like, okay, it's him.
It's him. He has no reason to be here. He was introduced.
Actually, the first time I was watching this movie, I fell asleep at the part where they, saw the cast list, and I woke up at the part where Professor Solomon revealed that he's the killer. I'm like, so next time I watch it through, I'm like, I would have thought there would have been a better reason for Solomon to be there.
Professor Solomon shoots Toby, and we get the reason why he's killing all these people, and it's a dumb reason. Again, I like these setups, but I don't like the explanations why.
He's going to use Trevor's film to get over to Hollywood.
To get that Hitchcock Award.
Not even to get the Hitchcock, just to make that movie in Hollywood so he could have anybody that was working on the film be alive. And he's going to kill Amy because Amy's dad fucked him over on the Hitchcock like 20 years ago.
This is a grudge he held on apparently since he was in his 20s.
Yeah.
That her famous father, who did famous documentaries, what did he do? He voted against him winning.
Yeah, I guess like the judges were tied on who should get the Hitchcock,
and her dad had the deciding vote.
Yeah, and he's like, that movie he picked was fucking trash.
So, of all the dumb reasons, like in my mind, so some of the ideas that I was thinking of why everything was happening the way it was, I was thinking, okay, like after Eva Mendes died, and then we saw all the dead bodies, I was thinking to myself, what if this is the movie, like somebody's making a movie getting her genuine reactions, and all these other people who are quote unquote dying are like just in on it.
Yeah,
and it's like a social experiment.
That would be cool.
That's the route I thought they were going, because she runs in and she starts seeing in the bell tower, she sees all the dead bodies.
Yeah,
and at this point, I was thinking, all right, she's seen all the. This seems like a setup for somebody to come up and yell "cut!" Like it was all a prank or all a part of the movie.
Yeah, or fucking Travis is an evil twin.
Travis, or that Travis didn't have a twin brother. It's actually like Travis is actually Travis, and he was pretending that he had a twin brother
just because he wants to kill people. So many other ways they could have gone with this movie other than
not that it was the professor. He sounds like he was getting robbed, but he's still the professor of a prestigious film university.
And it's like, bro,
it's like you could probably make it in Hollywood. You
went out and tried. It's like it seemed like he didn't get the Hitchcock, so he gave up on his film career.
He gave up, but apparently was good enough to be the new professor of film.
Yeah, okay.
But still thinks that all of his stuff got taken away from him. I'm like, dude, like you're surrounded by nothing but film students and film. I'm fairly certain that you can probably, like, you have, first off, the school is going to be paying for all of the equipment. You have all of these equipment. You make yourself a movie.
And actually, I think he probably did deserve the Hitchcock in the first place, because if the first great film he was going to take to Hollywood was a film he's stealing from one of his students,
my guy,
maybe you just don't got it.
I would rather kill everybody who worked on this movie, and with no guarantee. Oh, by the way, we never see what Travis's awesome movie was, by the way. Like, no.
It's just called Gods of War.
It's just called Gods of War or Gods of Wrath or something
Gods,
like
yeah, I think it is Gods of Wrath, something like that.
something like that. But anyway, it was a dumb reason. So Professor Solomon is the killer, and a little scuffle ensues.
Yeah.
He has a gun, but they manage to get it from him. But guess who shows up to break up the party? My favorite person,
Reese.
who of course tells Amy, "Put the gun down." I'm like, again, man. Every time she showed up, like I don't know how she wasn't the first one.
Yeah, and then the gun gets put down, and then all the guns get mixed in with
Prop guns.
even the security guard's gun somehow gets mixed in with there.
Because she tells them to like put the gun down, and then the Professor Solomon lets something slip, some little arbitrary thing like I didn't say I saw that. How would you know? Kind of situations like I never said such and such. Like, and then they all scuffle. Everybody gets a gun because it's again. Where were they?
I guess on films on the film sets that they have built for the school.
I was gonna say, obviously some kind of film set because there's a random pile of fake guns sitting right there.
Yeah, and then something you would thought was a throwaway line 45 minutes prior to the movie comes into play when the security guard tells Amy that she likes to paint her gun gold.
Oh, that
like Foxy Brown. So while the professor grabs a prop gun, she grabs the security guard's gun because it's painted gold.
And then a trope happens that I can't stand whenever the bad guy is at gunpoint to like the hero has the person at gunpoint and they just basically are daring them to kill you.
Yeah.
Saying, so what are you gonna do? You can't do it, can you? Like that old like dude, like if you really thought that, why would you antagonize her to make her
push her to that point? Suicide by gunfire again? Okay.
It's kind of like you ever see the movie you ever see Hostel 2?
I don't know.
Well, if you have, but don't remember, let me give you a refresher. At the end, there's this dude who was going to be one of the torturers. His victim got free, and she managed to get a pair of gardening shears and get them firmly on this dude's testicles. Like, basically saying, I get me out of here, or I'm just going to one swift, like, slice this thing off. And he's just sitting there antagonizing her, calling her a bitch and saying, and basically saying you don't got the guts and blah blah blah. Like, my dude, this is not a time to call bullshit. Like,
if you push someone that far to the limit, they do what they got to do to survive. Why keep antagonizing them?
Which is kind of, I mean, not as intense as that, but it was just basically kind of like him basically saying, yeah, you ain't gonna do it. But she does.
And then
it ends the way it began, with a fake out of a different movie.
Yeah, you see
her winning the award. We see
they're first setting the award to Trevor because Travis is getting it for his movie.
And then all of a sudden there's a attacker coming out from the balcony, and then
got a sniper in the balcony. Yeah.
Then Reese comes out of nowhere and puts like 9 holes in the dude with Foxy Cleopatra gun, and then you hear cut. It was basically a scene from Emma Swan's upcoming movie.
Yeah.
Jennifer Morrison.
And
it ends with basically, what's his face, Solomon in a wheelchair sitting in the nut house.
Yeah.
Which I guess if you kill like 5-6 people, you just if you just slump over in a wheelchair and pretend like you're catatonic, you'll just get put into a sane asylum.
And then he's grabbed by a nurse who says we have a lot to talk about.
Yeah, what was that about?
That nurse was the killer from the first movie.
Oh, because
what happened to her in the first movie? She got shot and her body fell in the river. And they never recovered the body. So
that was supposed to be the big nod to the first movie. Because I hadn't seen the first one, so when I was like, I feel like I should know who this woman is.
Yeah.
And then that's how the movie ends.
Urban Legend.
Yeah, final cut. All right. I've been talking a little bit. Why don't you go ahead and give me your opinions on this? Go ahead and get us kicked off with that.
Like, I see how low the ratings are, and I don't understand why. Like, obviously, this movie's had its problems. We went through it, but
for those wondering, this rests at a 9% on the old tomato meter.
Yeah, the audience scores like a 29%. So it's like
I think that's unfair.
Yeah, Like, this is a run-of-the-mill slasher movie.
You can't say that this is only like 3 or 4 points better than House of the Dead. You can't say that this is only 4 points better than something like House of the Dead or Hanukkah.
Yeah, I would take this any day over House of the Dead or Hanukkah.
Hanukkah is scored higher than this.
Like, I would watch this movie again if it's on.
If it's on, I wouldn't go out of my way to watch it again. But if it's on, I'd be like, it's good background. It's a good background show. And some of the shots were actually pretty okay.
Yeah.
Like, it actually...
And, like, the kills were pretty creative, too.
So, all right, so we'll continue this real quick. But since you mentioned kills, and before I forget, kills of the movie.
I'm going to go with the window decapitation.
That was a good one.
Had nothing to do with the rest of the movie.
Nothing to do with anything.
But it was fucking cool.
There was no reason why she had her kidneys removed, because supposedly if the killer is just trying to kill people who worked on this movie, why he has to do it in the form of an urban legend doesn't make sense. Like, I thought, why was he trying to steal her kidneys?
Yeah.
Because I remember you saying, well, he has to do it in the form of like an urban legend. I was like, all right, but he doesn't do that with any of the other kills. And he has to do it like an urban legend. Why? I thought he just wants to kill people because he wants to get the Hitchcock award.
Professor Sullivan explains it. He's like, and then you told me your thesis, and then I got the idea.
So he was just like always crazy, just waiting for a reason?
Yeah, which doesn't make sense anyways, because he kills this girl before Amy tells him his thesis. At least chronologically in the way this movie's shot.
And by the way, he's doing all this so he could like do his own submission and everything like that. Yeah. Couldn't he just flunk whoever he wants and win the Spirit Award that way?
Well, he's not trying to win the award. He's just trying to take the film.
Oh, he just wanted her. He just thought that the film was so great that he wanted to bring it to Hollywood.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I think he might have been trying to frame Amy. I think that was his plan, but I don't.
Because when you're going to steal what is going to be your next big movie, you don't want to draw attention to yourself. Best way to do that, murder people.
And then frame it on one of your students.
Well, I guess he's right, though, because nobody was looking into all these missing persons.
No one. Except for Amy.
Reese.
Yeah.
No, not even Reese.
Oh.
Just like nobody was looking for these people. Nobody cared about the Sandra who was supposed to be auditioning on ER the very next day.
Yeah.
Nobody cared about Simon.
Everyone cared about Travis, and that was about it.
Well, by the way, like with Travis and everything like that, we don't know how he supposedly killed himself. I mean, we find out that he was killed by Professor.
Yeah.
But they just found him dead, and then people were just like, oh, he killed himself. Oh, well, no need to investigate. Like,
and same with, what was it, Stan and Dirk? They was electrocuted and, like, stabbed with pitchforks, and the cops are like, oh.
Looks like just an electric accident.
Yeah, electrical accident.
Yeah, but what about the concussion wound that he got from the pickaxe to the forehead and the broken hand that he got from getting it punctured?
So there's a lot of things about this movie that don't make sense, but it's still okay. I think you just have to be in the right mood for it.
Oh, I need to give my kill.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and say Sandra's death because it was the best acting she's done.
Yeah.
She got basically sliced up with a razor on camera. I wonder if that was a nod to Peeping Tom, basically getting filmed, getting killed like that.
The way this film is, it probably was.
But getting back to our overall thoughts before we go into score. So, yes. So I stand by that. I think this one was so far the best shot that we've seen.
Yeah.
I think so far it's had the most cohesive storyline.
Yeah.
Like, I could understand what was happening, who it was happening to. It didn't really have any of those it didn't have those weird shaky edits like in I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer, or weird action shots
like House of the Dead.
Like House of the Dead, or weird slow-mo shots. It was just
which is kind of weird for a movie that came out in 2000.
Yeah, this came out in 2000. So yeah, all right, let's go into score. Now, I think that we should do scores based on how we were doing the greatest movies of all time. It where we base it on a 1 to 10 out of this, 1 to 10 out of that, 1 to 10 out of this, and then score it overall for a score of 30.
Okay.
Do you want to try doing that and see if that works better than my 1 to 10, 11 to 20, 21 to 30?
All right, yeah, we could try that.
All right, so I think that we're going to go with technicals.
Okay.
storytelling,
Okay.
and then overall entertainment.
Okay.
And then we'll just add total those up. It's a 1 to 10 out of each of those, and we'll total it up. Technicals for me, this is basically kind of a run of the mill slasher. Nothing, but it was slightly better than some I've seen because there were a couple of shots that I actually liked where they played with some reflections. And as much and though I was poking fun of it, saying, "Oh, well, that's more storytelling," but I'm gonna give this a 6 on technicals. It was just slightly better than some other slashers I've seen,
Yeah.
but it wasn't anything super special.
Yeah. Technical. I'm probably gonna go with.
And when I say technicals too, I mean also like the cinematography.
Yeah. I think it does have to be a 6 because it is slightly better than your average run of the mill slasher movie, and it looks good, but it's not like over the top great. It's not like Last Night in Soho type great.
Yeah, I mean it plays it safe for the most part, but
Yeah.
I ain't gonna knock slasher for playing it safe.
What none of the movies before have done. They've all done stupid, wild things for no reason.
Plus, I appreciate them like having props up there and showing like props for movie making and stuff like that. I enjoyed that. So
Yeah.
story.
Storytelling. Okay, so I'm gonna go with a 1 for storytelling. Even though it's like coherent, every time they set up something good, the execution was the worst possible thing they could do.
I had mentioned that I like the setup, but
Yeah.
I don't like the explanation or details.
Yeah.
Anytime like when he went into the explanation of why he was doing what he was doing, it was lame. And just like you said, a lot of stuff just happens conveniently, which is a shortcut in storytelling. So for me, I'm gonna give it about a 3.
All right.
Too many instances of it being too convenient. Like you said, it was coherent. I understood what was going on,
Yeah.
but I just thought the actual story itself was weak. And overall enjoyment.
Probably go 6. Like I enjoyed it. I'm not gonna go out of my way to watch it, but if it's on, I'll watch it again.
At the end of the day, it ended up being just a regular old run-of-the-mill slasher. Like it just gets put on top of a pile of like I got the same amount of enjoyment from My Bloody Valentine as I did with this.
Okay.
So, and I gave My Bloody Valentine like middle of the road 15 out of
Yeah.
30. So for enjoyment, I'm giving it a middle down the road 5.
So my total score is a 13 out of 30.
And mine,
I think yours is also a 13 out of 30.
what was mine? 6,
You-
3, and
Oh, you went
5.
Yeah, it was at 13.
Is it? All right. So that would be
No, yours is 14.
so about
Mine's a 13.
13, 14 out of 30,
Yeah.
which on our scale is about a 44, 45
Yeah.
out of 100. If you were to do the division and all that business, it'd be
Yeah.
in the mid 40s, which I think it's properly at home in a mid 40s out of 100.
It getting an 8 out of 100.
Yeah, getting a 9 or 8 out of that's unfair.
Really unfair.
It was fine.
Yeah.
It was harmless.
It wasn't offensively bad in any way
No.
Yeah.
Easily one of the easier movies
to digest.
to digest of a bunch of the ones we've watched.
Yeah. And
But-
now on to what's next.
But yes, that is another one down in the coffin, in the body bag.
Yeah.
Time to unzip another one.
We only got 2 left.
We only got 2 left.
So we started off the season with House of the Dead, then we did Idle Hands, and then we did I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer, and now we're doing Urban Legend Final Cut.
All right, so let's see what's the penultimate one. Slender Man.
Slender Man, okay.
So that one's mine, and then you'll be rounding out. You'll be the anchor for the end of the season.
Yeah.
So speaking of urban legends, Slender Man.
Yeah.
It couldn't have worked out more perfect.
Yeah, that was a big urban legend like 2015, 2016.
The whole 7 pages and whatnot, but I never saw the movie.
Neither did
But I
heard
only
it was
heard,
terrible.
but I only heard it was terrible, and
Yeah.
I forgot what the score was, but I'm fairly certain that it was like in the teens, which is a damn shame because you could have had a lot of fun with a character like Slender Man.
Yeah, and it's a very open thing you could do with it. And
But
there's
you know,
a lot of things you could do with it.
if this movie taught us anything, we might actually think it's okay and like it.
Yeah, evidently we're growing to love bad movies.
Or, yes, has the bar been lowered so bad that everything just seems okay in comparison to, well, at least it's not Black Christmas or Hanukkah or
Yes.
Fear.com.
Yeah, just wait till we get to watch good movies again.
But anyway, In the meantime, I'm looking forward to doing Slender Man. I don't know when that's going to come out, but it's going to come out at some point.
Yeah.
You want to go ahead and take us out there, Dave? It was your pick.
Everyone, thank you for listening. Hope you enjoyed. Have a good week, everybody.
See ya. Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening to Body Bag Podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe and leave us a comment as to what you'd like to hear us review or any horror movie topics you'd like to hear us rant and rave about.
And while you're at it, you can find us on Twitter at BodyBagPod and on Instagram at BodyBagPodcast.
Thanks, and we'll see you next time.